Oh, hello. I'm Sketch.
And I'm Shades.
And this is Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch. Welcome back, long-time listeners. Welcome back, Shades.
Welcome back, Sketch.
Thank you, guys. Every time you join us in our GoCo in a different corner of the Geeking Out multiverse. Shades, where do we have it set up this week?
Sketch, we are set up in the parking lot of the Starlight Starbright trailer court.
Trailer court, very important distinction.
Just hanging out in Canyon Country, California.
Very good. And if we're in a trailer park,
trailer court.
What's the difference? That's a good BQ. What's the difference between a court and a park? We'll find out for the midstream.
Long-time listeners, write in and we will have that discussion.
Yep. But in the meantime, as long as we can't talk about that, we might as well be talking about a little property that you might know.
A gem, if you will.
Some might.
A rough cut gem.
A diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
Some might say, yes. What are we talking about today, Shades?
Sketch, we are talking about the 1984 pioneering cult classic beloved by millions. By millions, I mean me.
Yep. The only millions you care about.
The Last Starfighter.
The Last Starfighter.
I don't know if that's true. I feel like there's a big...
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure.
Big following.
I'm sure there's a big following of this movie. Seems like a movie that struck a lot of chords early in people's development.
I agree. Yeah.
Do we have does that mean we have a theme song this week?
What's this? What's over here in the corner? What is this?
It's an old
Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada. I'm just gonna put a quarter in this machine over here, Sketch.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Through sound engineering.
Professional sound engineer over here.
Perfect. So, guys, if we are going to be talking about The Last Starfighter, we're going to spoil The Last Starfighter.
Spoilers for The Last Starfighter.
And that's kind of
it. I love these standalone property, Sketch.
They're so great. They're so, that aspect of them are so great.
I'm detecting some shade being thrown from your side of the GoCo.
I'm fine. No, I watched it. It was a movie.
It was.
At a beginning, a middle, and an end.
It did.
So
I'm more than some movies can say for themselves.
That is more than some can say. So, Shades, let's start with me this time, because this is going to be really...
Sketch, what's your history with The Last Starfighter?
This is going to be really quick. You said, have you ever seen The Last Starfighter? And I said, no, what is it? And like, oh my God, you've never seen The Last Starfighter? Let's do it for the pod. And I was like, okay. And then I watched it. And now here we are. And that was it. That was Last Starfighter history for me. I never knew about it. I'm sure at some point...
That's shocking to me that you had never heard about Last Starfighter.
Nope. I'm sure somewhere online I read in passing like someone mentioning Last Starfighter and it meant nothing to me. So I didn't retain any information. Never saw it. Didn't even really know about it. Then watched it for the podcast. There you go. That's my entire history with The Last Starfighter.
Awesome.
Quick one this week.
Yeah.
How about you? Do you have a more robust history than I do?
This is one of my formative movies, Sketch.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a very early recollection of this movie.
Was it a Graham movie?
No,
it was too early.
No, this was a movie I saw on television.
Yeah, this was in 1984.
This came out in 84.
We also came out in 1984.
I came out in 83. But,
I came out in 84.
Just under the wire.
Just
under the wire in 83.
You were still being toweled off in 84, basically.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Very much. I was like a automobile.
Yep.
The new model year.
Yeah.
At the end of the
That's really, that was really it.
Yeah, exactly. They were still putting the showroom finish on me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so this, I feel like I saw this on television, like 85-ish. Maybe, no, that's too early, but like maybe young. 86, 80, 87. It's like one of my early like memories.
Okay.
Like similarly to like watching Airwolf or Knight Rider or A-Team.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely saw this on like cable. It's the infancy of cable television on like Fox or USA, something like that, midday. And I feel like I saw it was like heavy syndication. So this is like one of my formative sci-fi experiences. And I want to say this might have like planted the sci-fi seed in my brain.
I'm sure it did for a lot of people.
I think so.
Of our age.
And yeah, like one of my formative movie experiences. I just remember like the Star Car and the Gunstar. Though, like I had this predates Star Wars, Star Trek. This is like my first foray with space.
Yeah.
I went through like an astronaut phase, and like I just remember being enamored with the Gunstars. And I probably hadn't seen this movie again since I rewatched it earlier this week for Pod. I probably hadn't seen it in like 20 years.
Wow.
Or like at least 10. And I remember like I was like, I can't wait to see the Gunstar. I can't wait to see the Gunstar. And then I saw the Gunstar and I was like, I don't know if this ship is as cool as I remember it being. And then like
there's potential to it.
There's a lot of potential to it. But like I just remember even like it was unlike anything I had ever seen. It's still unlike anything I had ever seen for a ship. You know, you might be saying, oh, Shades, you've never seen like a 2-seater cockpit like jet or starfighter. I have, but not like a Gunstar. It's still unique in my brain.
Okay.
It's still a formative experience. And like, I just remember there being like a sense of magic to this movie.
Yeah.
Like, and I still, when I see it, I can like see the blemishes. I can see it for what it is now. But when I watch the movie, there is still some kind of like wonder and magic in that movie. In a way that I can't explain. And it's so interesting because this movie, like, I really identified with this movie. There's a line early in the movie, without getting too far into it, where the main character, Alex, I can't remember who he says it to, if it's to Girk? What? Who's his co-pilot?
Well, that can't be early in the movie because he doesn't meet this co-pilot till like this.
Gerg.
Sure.
Grig. His name is Grig. I got there. Grig. I can't believe he meets Grig kind of early in the movie.
In the movie?
Yeah, he meets Grig like in the.
He meets him when he first gets to the space station.
That's 13 minutes into the movie.
Of an hour and a half movie.
Yeah. It's 13 minutes into it. It's 13 minutes in.
Okay.
Anyway, or if he says it to Centauri, whatever. For a movie that I love, you think I'd have the names worked out better.
I just remember there being a lot more before he gets to space.
It seems like there's a lot, but there isn't.
Like
he's in space in the first 10 minutes, but then he leaves and goes back to the trailer park.
Yeah, I know.
That's why it seems like it's further into the. Anyway, I think he says it to Centauri. He goes, like, what? Like, why me? I'm just a kid from a trailer park in nowhere, America. And Centauri says back. It is Centauri. He says back to him, "If that's what you believe, then that's all you'll ever be."
Yeah, it is Centauri. I remember that.
And it's like, God damn.
That was him getting into the Star Car for the first time.
Yeah. Okay. So it is early in the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I can remember like in an early viewing of this, just being like, God damn. And like looking around the town that I grew up in and like having that connection of like, oh, so I grew up in a mill town where like families had been living there since the 1880s. Like in the same houses that their ancestors like worked in those mills and lived in that mill housing. And when the mill closed, they bought the houses from the mill. And when they had kids, like a lot of these houses were duplexes. Their kids would just like move into the other side of the mill house. And then their kids would move into the side that their grandparents lived on when they died. And certainly my family lived that existence. And so, like, so
you saw yourself at Alex.
I did. I was like, oh shit! Like, that's some like I hadn't seen Star Wars yet, but that's some Jedi shit there. And I remember that, and and I remember that being a theme. Like, people will often, when I would tell people where I was from, they'd be like, "Ooh, like most people spend their whole lives trying to get out of that place." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, there's something to that." And you know this. I often describe the town that I'm from where the skies are brown and the rivers burn.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I stand by that. It
Yeah.
is. So, this movie had a big impact on me, and just like the idea of like exploration and space. I think this was my first connection to outer space.
Yeah, I mean, if it's your first foray into outer space,
And
I think
to like
it'll blow you away.
a 4-year-old, 5-year-old
Oh,
kid,
yeah.
like they had spacesuits, they had helmets.
They did.
That jives.
Yeah.
You could be a starfighter.
It all made sense.
Yeah.
It all added up. No,
This is a very
holes
early
at all.
formative experience. It holds like a very like strong connection
That's great.
in my touchy-feely bits.
Excellent. I saw it 3 days ago.
Yeah. So
First time
not
ever.
the same. I imagine it doesn't resonate the same way.
It's too late to be formative for me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty formed.
But I remember watching Star Wars for the first time and just going, "Oh, this is Last Starfighter."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think Starfighter does some story components better than original Star Wars. That's a hot take and a controversial statement, I know, but I think
Yeah, I'm waiting for an example.
Story-wise, well, we'll get into it. Raves.
Okay.
Some of my raves. I think like plot-wise, there are some things in Last Starfighter that are better constructed than A New Hope.
Okay. All right.
And we'll talk about it. So
You got history of the movie
history
itself?
of the movie. Yeah. Released in 1984 and classified as a space opera, The Last Starfighter, along with Tron, has the distinction of being one of the two first examples in cinema history to use real-life computer-generated imagery, CGI. Shot in 38 days in Canyon Country, Los Angeles, California, the film used 3D models in place of physical props. There are no physical props in this movie, and boy, does it show. They were all 3D renders. Described at the time, The Last Starfighter was said to be not terrifically original, but well-crafted, surprisingly pleasant, and Gene Siskel, legendary film reviewer, included it on his guilty pleasure list
Interesting.
of the 1980s. A rumored sequel has been discussed since 2008, but it is mired in controversy as both Universal and WB each claim to have sequel and remake rights. So Universal Lorimar made the original movie. In the 1990s, the WB acquired Lorimar.
Mhm.
So Universal does have claim to it, but WB also has claim to it.
Yeah, it seems like if they acquired it.
Well, it's Universal Lorimar. Like Universal used to own Lorimar, and WB bought it.
Isn't it like didn't we just go through this with Disney and Spider-Man and everything? Like, isn't there like a clear, like, here is a property you bought?
Yeah.
You have,
There's a clear way to do it.
isn't there like a piece of paper somewhere that just says, here's a list of all the properties you bought from
Right.
Lorimar?
Right.
Well, let's get on that. Let's find that piece of paper.
Well, allow me to continue sketch. In 2020, October 2020, I did remember this, but I went and found it. In 2020, John R. Butel, the original writer of Last Starfighter, shared on his Twitter with a complete sizzle reel containing concept art, The Last Starfighter's sequel, and announced that he and the original creative team had reacquired all of the rights to the film.
So who had them?
I guess Universal and Warner both claimed them, but I don't know if John Butel himself or a production company that he is involved with has gotten all of the rights to the film. U.S. distribution, home distribution, and international distribution back from whatever parties.
Whoever had it.
Whoever
Okay.
had it. I guess Universal and I'm sure some crazy financial agreements there in the background, but the original creative team has the rights to the movie again.
Okay.
And I'll put that sizzle reel in the show notes.
Okay.
Hopefully I listen to this when I'm putting together the show notes and remember to put it in. Let me
We'll
make a
see.
note in my notebook. Sizzle reel in show notes. We'll edit this out.
We'll see if that works,
We're
guys.
gonna edit this out and make me not look ridiculous
If
on
you're-
air, right, guys?
If you're listening,
Right?
Future Shades.
Okay.
If you're listening,
Yeah.
I'm waving my hands to get your attention.
Good job.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So there might be a future to Last Starfighter as
I
well.
really hope so.
Which would then, of course, negate the last in Last Starfighter, because now we'll have
Well, I
more
mean, they
Starfighters.
imply at the end of the movie, spoilers.
Oh yeah,
at the end of the movie, they're going to rebuild the Star League.
Yeah, the former Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like
the movie ends completely open.
Yeah.
To a continuation.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Starfighter trilogy. Of course.
It certainly could have.
Definitely what they were setting up.
Yep. Very good.
Yeah. I think that brings us to the
all important internet scores.
Important internet scores.
Okay.
Oh, did I not write down the cost? Sketch, you might have dodged a bullet. I bet I can find it fast. Okay, all important internet scores.
Mm-hmm.
I can't let you dodge my favorite part of the show. IMDb, 6.8.
Okay. Interesting.
Rotten Tomatoes, critic score, 76%.
Wow. Good on your Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. Fan score, 69%.
Well, very close.
Yeah. Metacritic, 67% critic score.
These are all relatively close to each other.
74% fan score.
Mm-hmm.
91% of Google reviewers.
That's Google for you.
Love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a really hard time scoring this.
Really?
I started in the 90s.
Okay.
Then I was like, it's got some problems.
It has a couple.
Has some problems.
That's okay, though. Gotta just go with your gut.
Then I went in the 70s. I was like, that's too low. I fucking love this movie.
Just do you. Like,
and then it's a movie from the 80s. So I was going to give it a score in the 80s. And I was like, I don't know. I just gave Space Jam New Legacy a score in the 80s. And I think Space Jam New Legacy was a better constructed movie in many ways than this was, but also lacking in other ways. So I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm just gonna throw a dart at the board and give it a perfect 100.
Wow.
No, I can't do that. I can't do that. That's not.
Wouldn't
fair.
that blemish your other hundreds?
It would blemish my other hundreds. So then I'm like, I can't just score it on nostalgia. So I'm gonna go with an 89.
Nice.
0.9.
That's a good score.
Thank you.
Very good score.
Sketch, how do you score Last Starfighter?
I gave it a little lower than you.
That's okay.
Listen, I don't have the formative experience. I don't have the
right.
I don't have the benefit of seeing this before other things that have come after it, or even that came before it that I hadn't seen first. I have only my one experience watching it. I can't say I overly enjoy. Like, I wasn't overly entertained as I was watching it.
Okay.
I was pulled out
by a lot of stuff. Okay.
I gave it a 47.
47, Sketch?
Yeah.
Ouch.
I was, as I was watching it, I was just like, I'm just not enjoying my time right now.
Oh, wow.
Like, I was just like, I'm just not enjoying myself.
Ouch.
So that's what I gave it. There were components of it I liked, but there were so many components where I was just like,
bored.
I don't know if I'd use the word bored. There was stuff going on. Uninterested, maybe.
Okay. That's another word for bored.
Yeah, I guess. But it implies that something's going on that you yourself aren't into.
Gotcha.
You could be bored because nothing's going on around you.
Okay, that's
if you're
fine.
uninterested, something's happening, but you're not invested.
So a better way was you just didn't like it.
Yeah, I just wasn't. I wasn't into it. Just wasn't that into it.
That's fair.
I didn't really connect. Like, I didn't connect to Alex.
Gotcha.
I had zero connection to Alex.
I also feel like you have very fond memories of growing up where you grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went through that stint like a lot of people do, where you're like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And then realizing there was a lot of good to it. There was a lot of charm to it. I'm past that point in my life now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll explain myself. But yeah, as someone who saw it 3 days ago,
trash.
I wouldn't say trash. I've given other properties lower, not many, but I would absolutely watch this over Batman Ninja again.
Oh, okay,
you know, or
what? I hope you gave Batman Ninja a lower score than this.
Yeah, that was in the 20s or something, or Answer the Call or something like that. Something that's like offensively cash grabbing. I don't see that in this. I don't see oh, this was just like a greedy decision. Like, let's get in on Star Wars. This was like, oh, there was some heart to it, and they wanted to tell a new story, and just didn't resonate with me. That's all. That's all. We're all entitled to our
absolutely.
Stuff.
I don't hold that against you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't imagine watching this for the first time at the age we are now and being like, wow, like having seen Iron Man, like Star Wars, like anything with like relatively decent effects work and modern production value. Yeah, I can't imagine.
And even like I said, like even just like my path in life didn't overlap too much with Alex, so I didn't have someone to really grasp onto.
Sure.
And be like, he's telling my story.
Sure. I don't think Alex really tells my story, but
like of wanting to move on and do something with your life. Like, I think a lot of people have that.
Yeah.
I never want to do anything with my life. I'm doing a podcast. I'm good. That's it. That's my peak.
I mean, we really have to ask the question, what are we doing with our lives?
It's a shallow hill, but it's my peak. So
this is the hill that you will die on.
Yep. So there you go. All right, Rants and Raves. Let's start with...
Oh, no, sketch.
Oh, you found them?
I found them. I had them. I just didn't write them down. How much do you think this cost to make, sketch?
84 money is tough. I mean...
1984. But also think about the computer effects that were in this movie for 1984.
So they were expensive back in the day.
I feel like this was very expensive for the like type of movie this was otherwise.
Okay.
And the actors who were in this, there isn't like a
$30 million.
That's generous.
I thought you said it was really expensive to do computer generated stuff.
It was.
Okay. $18 million.
That's a great guess. $15 million. And the bulk of that is spent on 27 minutes of effects.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of...
There are 530,000 polygon generated effects in this movie.
It's not like a movie that's like, hey, we have some of the first computer CG and it's in a scene for like a flash in the pan. No, they commit to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're over 500,000 polygon generated effects.
Yeah.
Which when you think about it, we didn't start getting polygon generated video games until the Nintendo 64.
Was The Last Starfighter a real arcade game before this movie?
There were arcade games that were like this.
Yeah. But
this was not a real arcade.
Okay, so this was a game made for the movie.
Yes, the game was created for the movie.
Okay.
And also had some of the best effects for video games at the time.
Oh, it better.
Yeah. So yeah, there were games like Asteroid is kind of like this. There was like a arcade game where you're in a plane and you like zigzag back and forth, and there were target based games.
Yeah. No, I can remember those games. I just didn't remember.
Centipede kind of plays like this
specific game.
Yeah, this was not a real game.
Okay.
How much do you think it made, sketch?
84.
Also generous.
No. I'm saying the year is 84.
84. Gotcha. Yeah.
$55 million.
It's a good guess. It was generous.
Still generous.
It made $28 million in its original run. Okay. But it was only released in select theaters. This movie to me is like an independent film. I don't think it had like Lorimar Entertainment. When you see Lorimar Entertainment on the screen,
I did not recognize Lorimar Entertainment.
When you see Lorimar Entertainment, you kind of know what you're getting. Like Lorimar Entertainment did like a lot of the 1980s like family-based shows like Mr. Belvedere, Webster.
No.
I think Full House was Lorimar Entertainment, like Punky Brewster. They were not like a movie studio.
Okay.
If you will.
They were branching out.
This is like
reaching for the stars, if you will.
Yeah. This the effects for this movie were generated on a honest to God supercomputer. And I didn't write down the model, but it is pioneering for the age.
No, when you watch it, like I get that. Yeah, the movie didn't resonate with me, but I'm watching the effects, and yeah, they're aged because they are literally aged. They have aged over time. Yeah. But I go, wow, they really, they went for it.
I feel like they spared no expense on the computer modeling.
Yeah.
And like, I can't imagine sitting in a theater having like seen Star Wars, right? And like Star Wars is impressive.
Yeah.
But then to like see the effects in this movie,
Yeah.
And like it must have been amazing. I feel like it would have been one of those things that you like remember for the rest of your life the first time.
And
you
I'm
saw
sure a lot of
CG.
people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. That's all I got.
That's great.
Rants and raves?
Rants and raves. Start with raves, and you better start.
Okay. There is something indescribably magical about this movie. And it harkens back in the best ways possible to like all of the pulp and dime and space stories of like the pre and post World War II era. Like your Flash Gordons, your like all of your like kind of like Barbarella ideas of like pulp kind of dime store fantasy novels of what we thought space was going to be like, and like the benevolent alien like races that you would meet along the way, like the things that like inspired Gene Roddenberry to create the Star Trek universe of like exploration and cooperation, like the Star League. And it at the same time, it's King Arthur in space.
Oh, it absolutely is King Arthur in space. They say it's the Excalibur project.
It is they call it the Excalibur project, and I love that the video game is the sword from the stone test. If you can get the high score in this video game, you are the one.
Yeah.
Or you are one of many, but you've passed the test.
Passed the test for your planet,
yeah.
and you could and here's the thing that Centauri didn't follow is it's still supposed to be a choice.
Right.
The law, the regulation is still that you can't take someone against their will.
Them. Right.
Centauri.
Yeah.
Okay. Careful, stranger danger.
A lovable grifter.
Yeah. All right, two things about your rave.
Okay.
First thing, the whole Excalibur in space thing. At the moment he said the Excalibur project,
yeah,
I was like, oh shit, I'm now depositing a world in which the Space Force, or whatever they call it, the Space League,
right,
did Excalibur the sword to pick the leader of England.
I thought the same thing. I was like, oh shit,
they've been doing this forever.
Yes, like King Arthur was a starfighter.
Yeah. Yeah. But he was like,
was Centauri Merlin?
He was like blown away by the technology.
Feeble brain could not comprehend it.
Yeah. So I put that together. I got it. I got there. The second thing is I agree with your rave about that feel.
Yeah.
Because for me it's a rant because I don't like that feel.
Oh, okay.
I don't like that era. I don't like being reminded of the era like through pop culture because I don't like that era of those like sci-fi pulp things. It reminds me of MST.
Okay.
And that like it's almost
like the B movie. You don't like
the B movie, but it almost has and I get that there has to be like some, I don't want to say horror because it's not like scary.
Right.
But there's an unsettling
supernatural
aspect to it.
Something unsettling, not natural.
That like these things are coming and they're grotesque. Like at times the movie gets very gruesome.
Yes.
Very. Like those practical effects made me go like,
oh,
whoa, okay. When they melt the spy, and like he's just screaming. I was like, oh boy. I felt like Alex. I was like, I didn't sign up for this.
I'm out of here.
What was it? Oh, when the beta is forming into him. Oh,
that's a great effect.
And
too.
that is a hard reveal. Just like pull the sheet off of him. And
literally pull the sheet back from over it. Yep.
Woo. And it's just not my cup of tea.
Okay.
So like again, this movie had a lot of elements that I think that you like, and because I just don't like those elements, the fact that there's so many of them in this movie, I'm just like, I'm having a hard time finding a handhold here.
Oh yeah, if B movies are not your thing, this is a hard movie because this, like, it's interesting because like a B movie is technically classified as a movie that doesn't have a very large budget or A-list actors.
Yeah.
But I think somewhere along the way, B movie became a genre as well.
Yeah.
And like you can make a B movie.
There's a feel to a B movie.
Yeah, you can make a B movie with a budget and like a great cast. We might be talking about one soon.
Maybe.
And this movie as a kid felt like an A movie.
Yeah.
but it also feels like a B movie. And I fucking love B movies. I
Oh,
love B movies.
I would imagine as a kid, it feels like a very obtainable A movie.
Yeah.
I could live this.
Yes. But also like, there's something in a B movie that you're like, I could make this. And if you're a creative, when you see a movie like that, like it just like excites you in like the most, it's indescribable way. Like it feels accessible in like a way like you could believe that with some like, with like some cardboard, some like creative like trips to the thrift store, you could build the Gunstar cockpit.
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't
make that.
If you get an office chair, some cardboard, and like a puffy coat, and like a plastic space helmet, you're in a Gunstar.
Yeah.
So like as a creator, if you have like a vivid imagination and some like, and you're good with your hands, like, and duct tape and cardboard and some paints, like B movies feel accessible in a way that like we talk about like that show Movie Magic or behind the making the movies, whatever it was called, I can't remember.
I've never remembered what the name of that show is.
I know. I think we give it a new name every time we talk about it.
Just a behind the scenes thing.
Yeah, there's something about a B movie that's like, I can make a movie. Like I could do this. This is not hard. This is doable. Like the hardest part is like getting a camera.
Yeah.
not setting up the world that you would film.
Yeah.
The hardest part is getting a camera to capture.
I get that. I get what you're saying.
So,
and as a non-creative, it's just a hard.
You are not a non-creative.
Well, I'm feeling like I'm not because it doesn't trigger those things in me.
Did you ever want to like make movies though? Is that something like so?
No,
I guess I should like classify like if you were someone who was captivated by movies and like wanted to be involved with movies.
Oh yeah, no, I never. Is that funny? I never wanted to be in motion picture.
Oh yeah, there was a big phase like into like just ever so slightly predating like making music where I like director.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh yeah, there's like write and direct movies. That would be like, that's the life.
Yeah.
So
it's never
like
too
B
late.
movies, it is never too late. And I've made some documentary stuff at this point with it that it's decent.
There you go.
If I do say so myself, I'm sure it's other people.
You are saying so yourself.
So like, yeah, it felt accessible. I love that.
Yeah.
I love B movies for that regard.
I totally see that it's accessible.
Cool. I feel like I just like ran with your rave. Do you have another rave?
Wait, I didn't have a rave.
Oh, that was
your rave.
No, you said something about like
I said how your rave was a rant for me.
Oh, okay. Do you have any raves?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 2 raves.
Okay. Give me one.
Okay. My biggest rave of the movie was I loved everything about Robo Alex.
Yes, the beta.
Everything.
The beta was so good.
I just continually wanted more of that story.
Yeah.
I could have easily done a whole movie of
just the beta and Maggie.
The beta and Maggie
and Lucas
trying to like Lewis trying to fit in. And
is this the part where I stick my tongue in your ear?
Yes, like just trying to figure out humanity. I thought it was some of the best acting from Alex's actor was that even in the scene where they're both in it together.
Yes.
And like the
Lance
assassin,
Guest plays Alex Rogan and he's fantastic.
And he also plays the beta.
Yes, the beta Alex and real Alex. He plays them both.
When the assassin shows up
when the
Zandozan shows up to kill Alex, and both Alex and Beta are on screen together, I feel Beta Alex is acting far more
circles around Alex,
which is like bananas to say. And it was it was done so well with having them share the screen that it did make me go, is this a twin situation? Because they're very good.
I feel like that effect was probably very new, and it was like done so well.
It was I couldn't fault a single
thing.
Like
there's a Disney movie where like they do that. Like maybe it's the original Parent Trap, and it doesn't work that well. You can always tell when it's
you can always tell it's the split screen.
Split screen. But can I tell you what's awesome about that? The beta Alex.
Yeah.
So they filmed all of the beta parts. It was a very small part originally, and then it tested so well that they went back and shot more of it.
Good. Like going to the lake and everything.
Yeah. And so at that point, Lance Guest had cut his hair, and he got food poisoning or something.
Oh boy! So he lost some weight.
So he lost some weight, And so they had to put him in a wig and like put heavy makeup on him, and it wound up making him like look somewhat artificial.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love the beta. That's
Yeah.
the beta is literally one of my raves.
And it's my like I literally, when they would cut back to space, I'd be like, oh man,
yeah.
all right, let's get back to that because that's fun.
And like spoilers, Beta's death.
Oh boy.
Like
No, he has a great death.
it's a great, and like, come on, let's go. And like, all right, we jump on 3. 1, 2, and Maggie jumps out. It's like, you owe me, Alex.
Yeah.
And just boom, like what a great effect.
Oh yeah.
Like all practical.
Oh, that was practical. That was a practical explosion.
They destroyed that truck.
They destroyed that truck.
And Lance Guest died in that. Like, that's it. This is his last movie.
Lance Guest actually died.
Yes,
there.
he actually died.
They did that practically.
It was the wig. It was flammable. It just went up so fast. Yeah.
It melted to the seatbelt and he couldn't get out.
Couldn't get out.
I felt 10 I'll go 10 times more for Beta dying than Centauri dying. And then 25 times more for Beta dying than all of Space Fleet dying. When they die,
you just identify with like soulless automatons. That's what it comes down to. You're like, oh, there I am. I am the soulless automaton just going through someone else's life.
Way too close to home, but I identify way more with someone just trying to fit in with everyone else around them and to not be called out on it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, give me tips, Beta. Like, I'm still trying to figure this out. When they blow up Space, what's it called? Space, the whole group, the whole coalition,
the Kodan Armada. No, the Star League.
On
planet Rylos.
When they blow up Star League's outpost,
it doesn't look like it was on Rylos. It looked like it was on an asteroid.
It looked like it was on an asteroid.
Yeah, but they say it's Rylos.
They blow it up, then they destroy it, and I was like, well, okay, there they go. They really put the last Starfighter, and then they land there, and there's like
they land on one side.
Yeah, they land on one side of it, and there's conservatively like at least 30% of the population is still there.
So it's like, so if you break it into thirds, the middle third of the base is wiped out.
Yeah, and
it's the hangar. The hangar is wiped out.
Because originally I got a little excited because I thought, oh, I know what's gonna happen. You know, Centauri's going back to get Alex, and Grig has that last Starfighter, and they're gonna meet somewhere, and they're just gonna go just balls out, just a star car and the last Starfighter. They're like, well, let's land
montage,
and let's get all. I was like, oh, okay, that's okay. That's okay too. That not everyone's dead, but
all of the Starfighters.
The Starfighters are legitimately dead.
All of the Starfighters and their navigators are dead.
This is legitimately the last Starfighter
and the last Gunstar.
The last Gunstar, and it's a prototype,
and it has Death Blasm.
I thought it was Death Blossom.
I thought it was Death Blasm.
Is Blasm a word?
I don't know. I mean, Death Blossom makes more sense.
Yeah, I thought it was Death Blossom, but you know what? I've only seen the movie one time.
I think it's Death Blasm.
Because I thought it was going to be like Burning Big Bang, Liger Zero Panzer.
Sure.
The Burning Big Bang move where it blows out all of its stuff, and it was similar, but not.
It is Death Blossom.
Death Blossom. Look at that, guys! I'm the pro at this movie. I know this movie.
It sounds when Grig says it sounds like Blossom.
Well, Grig has has an accent from his planet. You know,
Death Blossom. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's blooming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I had no problems with the Death Blossom.
One of my favorite movies. Don't know what it's called.
I was fine.
How much do I love this movie? I guess not as much as I thought.
You gave it 100%.
No, I gave it an 89.9.
Well, it was one of the ones you gave it.
Yeah. It's very hard for me to score this movie.
You could say you gave it anywhere between 70 and 100 because at some point you gave it all of those.
I legit found it impossible to score this movie.
But you landed on 89.9, and I think that's a wonderful score.
Thank you.
Do you have another rave?
I do. I mean, I've just been like raving about this so much.
You can
the Gunstar.
Yeah, Gunstar. The
Gunstar is like such an awkwardly designed ship. But like, here's the thing that I love about the Gunstar. I feel like the architectural designers and sketch artists of this movie really thought about space, right?
Mm-hmm.
X-wings make absolutely no sense.
Okay.
Right? Because like you don't need wings to maneuver in space.
Right.
Like the space shuttle has wings, not because it needs it. It's for atmosphere. Yeah. So like wings in
Which I
space
assume is what they're using for
don't
in the X-wing too. But.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like wings in space don't really make sense. And whenever we see like spaceships, a lot of the time we see wings. Like there's always wings on these things because that makes sense to us as like terrestrial based creatures and our ability to fly.
We grew up with,
and it's one of the things I always loved about Star Trek. You don't need wings in space. You need propulsion.
Yeah.
And so like the Gunstar's construction and shape and how it takes off and lands, and the fact that like the pilot and gunner are in like a gyroscope seat because there is no up or down in space. And when your spaceship rolls or rotates, you don't need to be oriented upside. Like you need to just be able to lock onto the thing you're trying to lock onto, regardless of where your spaceship is. You need to be able to see what's happening. If you're like side, because there's no up or down in space, it's just your propulsion.
Yeah.
And how it can move you. So like the design of the Gunstar, we still haven't seen. I feel like the only other time we've seen a ship like this is Lost in Space.
Yeah.
This Cold War just got hot.
With the gyro.
The gyro. Yep. And I'm like, shouldn't all spaceships be designed like that? Otherwise, like, unless there's a point of object.
Definitely any ship that you're firing weapons out of. Yes.
It should be a gyro, right?
So that you can aim, And
it doesn't matter if you're up or down, you're just
turn
not
the whole ship to
exactly. So like
the other kind of cool thing about the Gunstar, if I may for a second.
Please.
I mean, I didn't write it down as a Rave. It's a fine ship. It's not my favorite ship, but I appreciate the design of it. I think it's smart. Like you said, it really is based on like rockets from Earth, not planes from Earth. It's really like if you've seen like the early Apollo and Saturn's, like it's built off of that. And if I understand it correctly, I mean the thing is just like coated in guns.
Yes.
So as Alex is turning in this gyro and like he's shooting off to his 3 o'clock,
it just activates a different gun.
It activates that gun that's over. It's not like the gun swings around with him.
Right. That's how I understand it.
That's how I understood it from if you're typing in right now, guys, remember I watched it one time.
I'm with you.
But I think it really was like it was like a porcupine of guns, just like peppered all over the thing. That's a great
analogy for this ship because it does have
wherever
rockets.
you were aiming, that's the gun that fires.
Yes. And certainly when they activate Death Blossom,
they're all going
and the ship just starts spinning on the gyro instead of the seat moving.
Yeah.
It was so cool that happened because like that actually makes more sense that the ship spins and you stay where you are.
Yeah, it's just fine.
And like your seat, and then the targeting of the ship then appears in your heads up display. That I thought that was so cool because that's how I interpret it. Well, whatever he's locked on to, that's where the ship's just going everywhere and firing, and he's like rotating. The ship's rotating and just activating that gun as it comes across his screen, and he just has to fire.
Yeah.
Or it fires automatically. I don't know, but
now
that's how I interpreted it. The seat spins around and activates the gun.
Who in a Gunstar, who flies?
Grig flies.
Okay, so the navigator's literally flying too.
The pilot.
And Alex is just the gunner.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. I like that.
And it really is based on like all of the. It's based on like every 2-seater front rear mounted attack helicopter that's terrestrial based. Like in the front, you have your gunner. In the back, you have your pilot. And in a lot of those interfaces, the pilot is actually like flying off of a scope. Yeah. That like as they turn their head, it's turning an infrared camera that they're like steering through.
Wow.
So and I had seen like a lot of those Cold War movies at the time. So I'm like, oh yeah, this makes total sense in space. If you're the navigator, if you're steering the ship, you don't need to see in front of you. You need like a cyclorama of screens that you can like rotate to see what's around you, or instruments. You don't need to see what's in front of you. You need instruments that can tell you what's in front of you, particularly in a spaceship.
Yeah.
Like I always thought like in Star Trek, that's how I always interpreted the viewer working.
There you go.
It's not necessarily just showing you what's in front of you, like the reboot movies.
It's not that helpful.
But that's not helpful at all. You need to see like
I think in the reboot movies, I think it's a literal window, isn't it? Window.
In the new movies, it's a literal window, and then it has like a heads-up display that can like show you other things in front of it, which makes not helpful.
Terrible for parking.
Exactly. But in the original, it was a screen that could like show you different perspectives of like everything around the ship.
Yeah. Also more armored too than a
You don't need a glass window in space. That's a terrible idea. Yep. It's a terrible idea.
Yep.
Terrible. Yeah. I'm glad you
Gunstar.
appreciate that. The Gunstar. Do you have another rave?
Yeah, I do. I loved that. And I don't know. I can't. You know how you can't explain the magic, like what it is about it, the magic that you love. I can't explain what it is about this that I love.
Sure.
I love that the Playboys were Lewis's and not Alex's. I thought that
Go
was
back to bed, Lewis, or I'll tell Mom your stash of Playboys.
Yeah, and he immediately does. I was sure those were going to be Alex's, and whenever Alex wasn't home, Lewis was like sneaking them.
Yeah.
Nope. Alex,
they're just Lewis's.
Alex just recognizes that Lewis has found his own stash of Playboys.
Where's July?
That gave me a good chuckle.
Yep.
And I thought that was a well-written joke.
Yep.
And it landed, and I was like, "Yep." It was charming. That's what it was. It was charming to me. That horn dog.
That's a great one sketch. I mean, I don't have any other written
that's fine.
raves that I haven't already talked about. I'll just add the arcade machine as the foil was perfect for me. It's so of the time, but also of the future, and it has aged appropriately with the culture that if you found that machine today, the construct of the game, the way it was created, it would still attract people's attention now. Like if you were just like hanging around, you had a quarter, or you're just passing through and you saw that, you'd probably stop and play it.
Post pandemic, you don't want to touch stuff.
I mean, if you're on a road trip just passing through, and you see that machine, the control interface of the Gunstar in the game is intriguing enough that you would probably play it.
Yeah.
So I thought like the arcade, that Last Starfighter cabinet particularly, was so well constructed, and I don't remember playing a cabinet like that. Do you?
No.
Still,
I didn't really have a lot of arcades around me, or a lot. I mean, I had the basics like in like a local restaurant that they would have a couple out front or by the bar or whatever, and you could play like the classics like Pac-Man and stuff like that. But no, I never saw something like that.
Oh yeah, we had an arcade right at the top of the street that I grew up on. DG's Arcade.
We Stranger Things. I think we talked about that.
Yep. And so certainly there were immersive cabinets, or not cabinets, but like immersive, like fly the jet, drive the car. But the control interface of that machine is so unique. Like, I would play the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool construct. Because you have like the 2 gyro system. So you have like the stick that controls the seat and then the target.
It's a lot of hand-eye coordination. That's for sure.
It's I thought it was a perfect foil and a construct that is essentially timeless.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do like how it was called the Excalibur Project, to remind you that like, this is a timeless concept of choosing who's worthy.
Yep. I am happy to transition to rants, if that's where you would
I truly don't have a lot of rants. More than anything, I have a lot of big questions.
Oh, fantastic.
I have a ton of big questions.
I have some serious rants.
Okay.
I guess my first rant is that in a world in which Star Wars exists, it is painfully derivative of the Star Wars story of like the boy who goes off into the stars to fight the evil empire, the chosen. Like this is not an original concept.
Sure.
And it's hard to, as like going back to it now, having seen Star Wars so close to Star Wars, like, oh, this is just like a mishmash of like
Star Wars elements,
Star, the Arthurian story that's present in Star Wars and this movie. It's not an original concept of Star Wars, but so close to it, it's hard to not see that it's an attempt to just grab some cash off of people being obsessed with space and Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I said earlier that I do see the heart in it, and I still do see the heart in it. It was definitely green lit because
of Star
the studio
Wars.
Was like,
this is our Star Wars,
and let's make this as close to Star. But like, I do think at its core,
Yeah,
It
I
wasn't
agree.
being
Yeah.
made to be Star. But I think studios or whatever were like,
Right.
well, this
And
has to be a Star Wars thing.
John Butel's story, I feel like there's a lot of elements of this that the studio, that Universal particularly, was probably like, we need more aliens,
Mm-hmm.
more creatures, more stuff like that. I don't think that was an element of it. Just feels so forced.
Yeah.
And the prosthetics for the aliens and the costumes feel like things that were left over from other properties.
Oh, they absolutely do.
Yeah.
The main race,
Yes.
like the balding
Kodan.
people.
Oh, the Rylons.
Yeah, the Rylons. Yeah. They felt like they were the intended alien species of this movie.
Right.
And they were buttoned up nice. They looked great.
All of the aliens were going to look like that.
Yeah. And then when you get like the other pilots and stuff,
Right.
it did feel like, well, we need more aliens.
Right.
What do we have in storage?
Right.
And we'll throw them in.
Grig definitely felt like a Star Trek kind of redress, or like there were like a lot of Lost in Space.
Yeah.
And it felt like all of the Kodan were redressed Cylons.
The main Conan who
The main Kodan.
every time he looks up, his little visor comes down.
The best part was that. What do we do now?
Oh my god, that line.
We die. And
oh
the little like targeting thing flips over. But I have a big question about that targeting thing, because I don't know what came first. The little door flips. It makes a great audio. We die. But they all felt like silent, and the bridge of their ship, I think, was like just taken from Battlestar, the original Battlestar Galactica. I'm pretty sure those little pod things are what the Cylons sat in, and they just like chopped off the bottom of a Cylon helmet and gave them like burn victim scarring.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they were. They needed antiseptic.
They were like bug people wearing Cylon helmets.
You know what? I think it. I don't know which villain said this, but this to me was like a great, like scene chewing like villain line. Like I loved this line, and I forget if it was the main visor guy, Kodan, or if it was
there were like two different
Prince.
Groups of the Kodans. There were like the burn
there was
victim
like
Kodan,
the deformed,
and then like the bug
gross
Kodan.
ones. Yeah,
and they're kind of like robots also.
Yeah, they seem to be like integrated into the ship, and
They
like
were
when
like
they
a
would
hive
die,
mind.
sparks would come out.
Yeah.
Or the Prince guy, like the son of the leader, Zur.
His name was Zur.
I thought the Zur were a race.
No.
Okay.
His name is Zur.
Okay, his name is just Zur. Darken the sky with their ashes. I like that
great line.
That was
delivered by like a wimpy like.
Yeah.
I love that he
was Kylo Ren before Kylo
he
Ren.
was oh man, that's a big question of mine.
Did he?
You just set up
Kylo
on it.
Ren?
I mean, he is Kylo Ren is Zur.
Yeah.
Right down to like what Rian Johnson did to him. I will ask it now.
He's very
Kylo
Last
Ren's,
Jedi Kylo Ren.
Is Kylo Ren's portrayal in Last Jedi just Rian Johnson redressed Zur? Did Rian Johnson just redress Zur?
And he has that scepter that he does nothing. I wanted him to kill somebody with that scepter.
Nothing
with that scepter.
Nothing.
That scepter better have come in the sequels. Like that better had come into play somewhere in the sequels.
If there were going to be sequels,
they
made a very big deal about it.
That was a big prop that they made for the movie, and it had a blade extend from it and everything.
It had a lot of buttons on it.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that all of those buttons just activated that one blade.
I'm going to deposit the idea that, because what did he like left Rylon? He
is the son of the leader of Rylos.
Yeah, Rylos. And so I want to say
the Kodan to be an
just
emperor.
grabbed whatever he could on his way out, and he just grabbed like a kitchen gadget.
No. He says,
I know.
He says that it's a replica of the emperor of the Kodan.
I know. I'm just making a joke about all the multi-use buttons on it.
It was just what was in his kitchen.
Yeah,
and it had
a knife.
Like,
this one does a knife, and if he had other buttons, it was going to be like a brulee torch and like a whisker,
a rind grinder.
Yeah,
zester. A zester. That's
zester.
What I meant. A zester.
A rind grinder. I like that though. That's
grinder.
in a man's kitchen.
Yeah, a zester.
You ladies, you can have a zester, but us men, we're gonna have a rind grinder.
Oh my god. Okay. Are there rants?
Oh, I have some rant.
Yeah,
I do have some rant.
Let's give me some more rants.
I thought the movie, to put it gently, was not particularly flattering to the ladies in the movie.
Oh no.
Especially Maggie, who is our main.
Yeah.
And she really starts the movie. She's like who we're introduced to first. So
Where's Alex?
I thought we were gonna have
Playing
more
the Last
Maggie.
Starfighter.
And Maggie just kind of devolves into like
A damsel to be rescued.
And like she's just interested in making out.
Yep.
And she has no desire to leave like Alex does. She has no like
She has no
inspiration, no
agency.
motivation.
No agency whatsoever.
Alex comes to take her to space and she's like,
nope.
no, I shouldn't.
Granny.
For no real reason. Like
Gotta
she already
take care of Granny.
Yeah, she already doesn't have great motivation.
Gotta watch
to
her
stay,
stories.
But like
That was a different character, wasn't it?
a real like she could have been like,
I'm not fucking going to space.
War? No. And I would have been like, I accept that,
Fuck
Maggie.
no.
That's understandable. But then she's like, no, the guy I like is going to space, so I'm gonna go with him to space. Ugh, she was she was
big,
weak. She was like
big rant.
Cringy weak. Like you could have easily once she knew about Beta
Right.
and stuff like that, she could have been helping defeat the
right.
What's his name?
The Zandozans.
Zandozan.
They sent a bunch of them.
They send a bunch. But no, just kind of, she's kind of like, you know, she's Alex is gonna get the girl at the end, even though he already has the girl.
Right.
I mean, he starts the movie with the girl.
Starts the movie with the
but
girl.
Then he can go to space
ends the
with
movie
his girl.
With the girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was I guess my thing was I just kept waiting to use Maggie.
Yeah.
How about no? Now
Nope.
can we? No. Okay. No, she's going to space and there's the credits. Okay.
This movie is very much stuck in the 1950s portrayal of gender roles and cinema portrayed as, you know, marketing to men and women as to how your life will play out.
Yeah.
It is a very like 1950s.
Yeah.
And then we'll get married. Then we'll like go wherever
exactly,
we're gonna go for my job. We're gonna move for my job, and you're gonna like take care of the house.
Even before the space adventure, like Maggie's big plan was that Alex was going to get a job somewhere and then come back and get her and take her.
He'll get an apartment, and she'll come and live with him in his apartment while he goes to college.
Yeah,
and then
that was already not cool, but like to be doing that still in the 80s, to be harkening back to that in the 80s too, was extra.
Well, like
cool.
the 80s, the 80s were all about harkening back to the 50s.
Yeah,
that was retro,
and I think that's why that relationship between the 50s and 80s that I just
that is your least favorite.
Yeah, those are my two least favorite decades.
Yeah, decades to wind up in,
and the 1310s. We'll get into that. We'll get into that in a different episode. 1310s. You know what you did.
Woof. Yeah. It's hard to, as an adult coming back to it and watching it. I feel like media, certain traditions that you might be raised in, like heavily influences that idea in your brain. And if you have rejected those ideas, to see this on screen, it makes it almost unpalatable to watch. When that's thrown into your face, that like this is the ideal.
Yeah.
That this is how life is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then you watch that and you're like, oh, I have rejected that entirely.
Yeah. In
my value set.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's a major turnoff in this movie. I agree with you 100%. All of the women, like his mom works at the diner, and she lives in, she's a single parent. We don't know what's happened to Alex. His dad.
Yeah, we know nothing about his father. Every woman in the trailer park needs Alex.
Yep. There's
like no men.
There are no men except for the custodian.
Yep. And then all the douchebag kids. But I guess they don't live in the trailer park.
They don't.
They come to pick Alex and Maggie.
They come to pick Alex and Maggie up. They live in the trailer park. What was it, that actor's? I love that actor too. I've seen him in some other stuff.
The guy who was like running it, the custodian guy.
Yeah.
He did that role of, you know, because if you do overlap this with you know the Legend of King Arthur and everything, which this movie definitely should be compared to, because it's asking to. He has that role of like the kindly old villager who
Right.
has years of wisdom and experience and is urging
Otis,
the young boy
Vernon
on.
Washington.
And whereas what's his name, Centauri, is the wizard that comes
Right.
into town,
The grifting trickster.
Yeah.
He's Gandalf.
he's Gandalf, and
Otis
to a lesser
is,
extent, Otis is Bilbo, being like,
Yep.
go off and have your adventure.
Well, like I love Otis. Like, I can't remember what movie steals this. Like, Otis was like, your thing's gonna come along, and when you find it, grab on. You gotta hold on with both hands.
Yeah.
There is a movie with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh.
In which he said, like, his dad tells him this line, and then he repeats it to his love interest. I can't remember what movie it is, but I know Sylvester Stallone is in it. He's talking about, like, his dad's funeral, and, like, you gotta hold on with both hands. I'm like, that's the Last Star. You saw that in the Last Starfighter,
Wow.
Sylvester Stallone, or whoever told you this.
Long-time listeners, if you know that
Please.
Sylvester,
Please write in with a Sylvester Stallone movie in which he, like, repeats the advice that Otis gives Alex.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember, like, ooh, Sylvester Stallone, you stole that from Otis. I love that character. I've always remembered that character.
Well,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of not to
But
use
those
the
are
word that
they
we
are
used,
the only two men in that
Yeah.
community.
and
Every other one, like, they're either old, like, spinster women watching their stories,
Yeah.
or single moms.
Yeah. but Otis, not to use the
But-
word, what
And there are some old
what did
guys
we-
that play
what did we do
cards.
earlier?
There are
Oh,
some
Guns
old guys.
Akimbo.
Yeah.
he's like the decent one. He's the decent one.
Yeah.
In town.
Yep.
There's not a lot of, well,
All the old
Not a
guys
lot of people
playing
are
cards
developed.
that are like they're drinking, they're talking
kinda
about
deadbeats.
they're deadbeats.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason they're calling on Alex to do everything.
Yep.
Because, like,
They're deadbeats.
Yeah,
They don't do a
those guys
fucking
aren't
thing.
doing nothing.
So, yeah, it's there are a lot of cringy bits of this.
Yeah.
That aspect has not aged well. You got another rant?
I mean, I've already talked about my rant about, the feel of it.
Yeah.
Which, and we've talked a little bit about the effects and stuff.
Yes.
Just doesn't age great. But I mean, I will say this: if I had seen this in the movies,
Yeah.
I'm sure I would have been impressed, thinking like, oh my gosh, computers can do this.
Right.
That's awesome. But I'm pretty sure I also would have been the guy that's like, there's no way this is ever going to replace miniatures.
Oh yeah.
I
agree.
I would have been the guy being
Yep.
like, no, miniatures is practical miniatures. You'll never replace them.
I agree.
And now we've kind of swung back to that
Right.
in our movie going. The other thing that I just couldn't help but call bullshit on is that the whole town is so excited that Alex beats the game on the high score. Like, everyone comes out.
Nobody
This
gives
seems
a
like
shit about this game.
This seems like the most unmotivated group of people ever, who just want to use Alex for his ability to do things. But
I
they
100% agree.
they love that he's gonna beat it. We gotta go. Let's all get up and go out there and watch. I was like, this wouldn't happen now. This wouldn't have happened then. This wouldn't happen ever.
Yeah. 100% agree. A big rant for me in rewatching this is that the effects, I think, have not aged very well. They don't hold up on their own. It was too soon for this technology.
Yeah. It was like too soon to go to theaters. It was like, look what we're doing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's
we're gonna get there.
obviously important. Like, you don't get none of the Marvel movies are possible without this movie
Oh, right. Yeah.
taking the risk.
Yeah.
Like Tron Legacy is not like, and Tron, I think, doesn't hold up particularly well either.
I think we've talked about it. I've never seen Tron.
That would be fun to do.
Yeah.
Tron and Tron
It's
Legacy.
on the list.
It is. But particularly, this is a big rant of mine. We've talked about it before. When you take movies if you take a movie made before, like, let's say 1985, and
Okay.
I realize this is like a year prior, but I even say like movies from like 1990.
Mhm.
If you take a movie like before 1990, before we have modern-ish processing, effects, and computer integration,
Mhm.
the minute you de-interlace, upscale, or remaster them, they look like shit.
Yeah, and that's the one we watched. So my only time seeing it was
We watched a cut of this movie that was remastered to 720p HD, which was for the something anniversary Blu-ray.
Yeah, too crisp.
It's exactly it. These movies are helped that by the fact that they're grainy, they're dimly lit, and it's blurred.
Yeah.
These movies are and I will say, I still have I have an original VHS cut of A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And I think it looks better, like A New Hope on VHS, unremastered. I think it looks better as a whole than everything they've done to it since. Like the blurriness and the graininess helps it.
Yeah. Well, when these things are made with the artists involved knowing exactly what they're going to look like, so they come in
choices
20,
to
30 years later and be
Yeah.
like, no, we know better, and we're gonna you know,
we're gonna de-interlace 60
like,
frames per second.
Be like
and
going
upscale
into
it.
an art museum and going to old you know, Middle Ages icons and going, yeah, we can do better than this.
Yeah.
We can clean this up, and you know, and yes, we clean up paintings, but by clean up I mean like add details and crisp up the edges that never existed before, you know? Yeah.
Right. So this is a big rant of mine as a whole with movies. Like, stop upscaling, stop putting movies in HD that weren't shot in HD, and stop trying to, unless you're going to completely reconstruct,
You know, like reskin everything.
And create a whole new effect to replace those scenes, which we did a little research, and apparently there is a newer version of Last Starfighter that's come out now that John Butel has the rights to the film, where they have just replaced all of those old 1984 effects with modern, still low budget, but just modern computer graphics, in which you can
low
get
budget now is still
so much better. Yeah. And
What
you were
what
watching, you were like, oh shit, that looks great. I want to see that movie.
What's the common thing that they say that the space shuttle was the actual space shuttle was launched with less processing power than what we carry around in our phones?
The astronauts went to the moon with the power of like a 1980, with less computing power than a Casio calculator watch. Yeah. So it's like if you're going to do that, you have to I think you have to completely recreate the thing. You can't just try and upscale and redress the thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't help it. And it kind of like, it really gets my dander up where people are like, oh yeah, remastered, upscaled.
That's
and then
you don't hear that phrase enough.
Thank you. It does. It really gets my dander up that
makes up for Rind Grinder.
Thank you.
I love Grind Grinder.
I couldn't think of Zester.
I love it.
I was reaching for him like,
at home, I'm going to say to the wife when I need the Zester, I need the Rind Grinder. And
it really gets my dander up.
Are you not listening?
Did you have a stroke? It really gets my dander up when
people geek out
over like, oh, it's remastered. That's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, imagine if the sequence was in clear water. Oh, I would cry.
Well, I mean, I'll just say 2032 has that problem.
2032.
Sequest 2032 with all of none of the ships look like they just, all of the other ships that they fight are like,
shit, I can't believe we're in between Sequest original run and Sequest 2032.
I know, right? Isn't that crazy?
We're living in the DSV
Oh
world.
God, when did
2016.
We missed it. Shit, we missed it. No, it was 20. We were like, when we did Sequest, we were like, we have to go and arrive at the dock. Like, and we missed it.
Yeah, we missed it by a year.
God damn.
Well, I mean, we did the episode a year before. We should have gone.
Yeah.
You know,
it's too late now.
Yeah.
Fire up the Goku. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
I could keep ranting.
I mean,
about
the rest of them.
Yeah.
Didn't you give this 100 at one point?
That wasn't. I said I was
teasing.
like, fuck, I can't get 100. I can't.
I have a lot of big questions, and I have one like ranty big question. Like it's
Okay.
such a big question to me.
My
that it's
last rant.
Mhm.
There's nothing likable about Centauri.
No,
Like
I never cared for Centauri.
I
was pissed with the reveal at the end.
Oh yeah, that he's alive.
Oh, okay. One, that he's alive, and that the leader, I forget whatever the leader's name is, has the audacity to say like, and an old friend wants to help you. Fuck you, he's not an old friend.
Not a friend.
He kidnapped Alex and died before there was like any connection between the two of them. I was like, the title friend is unearned in this instance.
Centauri is not a friend.
Yeah.
And that character is, I mean, the actor is Robert Preston, and this is his last feature role. He's famous for playing the Music Man.
Oh, that's who he was.
And like he is perfect as the Music Man, but like as a lovable grifter here, he is not. Like you are absolutely right. He 100% kidnaps Alex and then leaves him in the middle of a battle.
Yeah.
Like maybe Alex can never get home. Who knows? Like, yeah, he is not a friend. It's not earned, and I hated that reveal. And at one point, they kind of try and make him. My rant specifically is that they try and use him as both the Obi-Wan character and Han Solo.
Yeah.
And like those are two characters you can't mash up
them together.
You can't mush Han and Obi-Wan together. He can't both be like giving you the lightsaber and only doing it for the money. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
You can't be the lovable grifter, the smuggler with a heart of gold, and the wise old man that sets you on the journey.
Never hurts to have more money, or whatever he says.
Never hurts to be rich.
Never hurts to be rich.
Yeah. And I also didn't understand if he was an alien or a robot.
I think he's an alien.
Yeah.
I think he's an alien. I'm absolutely not sure, but my gut is telling me he's an alien, unlike any other alien that we've seen in this movie. And he puts on a human face.
Yeah. The other thing is like
a wet paper towel up to his face, and then he removes it, and it's just human.
I love that description.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had a t-shirt, that's the t-shirt.
That's the t-shirt.
It's a wet paper towel.
Yep.
Like up to your face. Anyway, also, characters that reference themselves in the third person are my least favorite
characters
things in all of media. If you say your name other than introducing yourself, if you have to refer to yourself in the third person, I'm out.
Yeah.
I can't wait for your character to go off screen.
Yeah.
Death
or die. Yeah.
Leave.
Hey, don't come back.
Don't come back.
He basically Bugs Bunny'd it at the end.
He did.
I thought you were dead. No, I was just healing. I was just.
Toons can't die.
Oh
God, is Centauri a Toon?
Maybe he is.
Is he Looney Toon? Okay.
Fucking Toon. All right. This
get us some dip.
And this to me is a ranty BQ. Like it's
BQs. I'm gonna try and give you some big A's.
It's basically a rant.
Okay.
In the form of a question. Okay. Why can't synthoids fight?
Yes. Okay. Why can't they fight?
Because
synthoids they aren't allowed to fight.
And Alex asked the question that we're all thinking. Why don't you just fight? It would solve the entire problem of the movie. And the answer is just like, we're not allowed to. And it's like, listen, if you yourself, movie, are posing a question that could solve everything, I need an attempt. No matter how lazy or how many holes I'm going to shoot in it later, I need an attempt at answering it other than just be like, no, can't. Not allowed to.
Not allowed.
Whoa. Give me more. If I'm Alex and I'm like going off to fight for your war, I need a little more than that.
Okay, I'm going to pause it.
All right,
I'm going to posit an answer.
Yeah.
Does he say that we can't, or they're not allowed?
Whichever of the two words he used, the meaning behind it is they're not allowed to.
Okay.
It's not like he physically can't do violence or something like that. 'Cause even that I would be okay with.
Okay.
It's that they can't. They're not allowed to participate in war.
I have an answer.
Yeah, I want one. That's why it's in the BQ area.
And when he says we can't, we're not allowed to, I do believe that it's something in their base programming. because so Beta Alex never picks up a weapon, a projectile firing. He never picks up a laser,
Right.
and he could have. He doesn't use that. He uses like a board. He like crashes the truck. I think in the beta's base programming, they've been like programmed not to use weapons.
Yeah. And that I'll take that.
And like I don't think that's clear, but I think in their base programming, because they are machines, they have been engineered to not be able to be the instigator, let's say.
Yeah, because
their whole role is to blend in and not draw attention and make the Zandozans are assassin recon things.
Yeah.
The whole point of beta is that you're supposed to convince Xur that you're still here.
Yeah.
So there are many, like for every starfighter, there's a beta.
Oh yeah, right.
Like acting in their stead, be like, so that they don't know who the starfighter is.
Yeah.
And they can't just like take out their family or like know that it's coming.
And
I also don't know how they like know who a starfighter is. Like, are they riding that transmission to know that like the starfighter's on Earth? That was so unclear. But I think betas or synthoids are programmed not to be able to,
and they
can only protect and defend.
It has to be though. It has to be that they're not allowed to fight in this war,
right?
Because there's a very strong chance that the person who scores the highest point on this game,
right,
and then is going to become a starfighter, there's a high chance, based on the skills that it would take to do that person could possibly be an actual real life like fighter jet pilot.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the synthoid comes in. It's like, all right, we got a mission for you.
Shit.
Oh shit. And then he just blows up.
I have stomach flu.
Is this when I put my tongue in your ear, sir? Yeah. So yeah, I needed that to be addressed a little bit more than we just can't.
We can't. That's fair.
Yeah,
it's fair. It is lazy. It's not even lazy. It's negligent.
It's negligent. Yeah.
In storytelling.
Yeah.
Come up with something better.
Yeah.
Because you've put it. Because
you posed it.
You posed the question.
You posed the question. It wouldn't have been a ranty BQ. It just would have been a BQ.
Right.
It became ranty because you asked it.
It's like when you create the rule and then you break the rule. Yeah. Don't create the rule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any BQs or all the BQs?
I don't have any BQs.
Because you're the expert here, so you can answer all mine. This is a two-parter. Why not? I'm trying to solve problems.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Why not give Alex the translator device first thing when he lands? And just avoid all the confusion.
Sure.
What? Huh? Come with you? What are you doing? Oh, here's the translator. Perfect English. Follow-up question. How good is the translator if it can't come up with the English replacement for wifoid? Grig's wifoid back home. Translator, I just got to put in what he said. Wifoid. Or is it a robot? Does Grig have a wifoid, like a synthoid?
Maybe. I don't have a good answer for that.
I do like the translator. I mean, I like the translator technology because that just solves everything as far as language barriers go.
I like that it's not like... I like that it's not just like the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Just doing it.
Yeah.
I like that it's a thing that you have.
My favorite translation device, I don't put that in quotes, ever was in Farscape. Do you remember Farscape?
Was it the thing that like...
They injected you with this bacteria that...
the bacteria translates.
Yeah, that it colonized at the base of your brainstem.
Yeah.
I loved that. That was great.
And translated
recommendation for Farscape's translator microbes.
Sure.
Okay. This is here's a legitimate one.
I don't have an answer for I will say that I appreciated that they established that just everyone in the cosmos doesn't speak English.
Yeah. I like
that was a
part.
Fun attempt because Star Wars
everyone's just speaking English.
Everyone's just speaking,
common
or
language.
like they can just understand droids.
Yep.
Somehow, like telekinetically. I don't know.
Yeah.
How that works. Like how does anyone other than 3PO understand R2? We'll never know.
Yeah.
Or the Jawas. Like how do they understand the Jawas? Yeah. I don't know. It's never established. Yeah. So I like that there was a thing, and I like that we heard the other language.
Yeah. I do too.
Yeah, but why don't they just give it to him?
Should be in your introduction packet.
I agree.
Or Centauri should have put it on him immediately in the car.
Yeah.
Anywho,
like Centauri has like one phrase that he can say in English.
Yes.
And like when he taps him, he puts it on. Like now you can understand.
Yeah.
Me.
Or like here's something, and then what is this? Oh, it's something you can understand.
Was that Blue Harvest? Was that a Family Guy thing that was like where they get into the back of the truck and it's like I've memorized this sentence and the one follow up
might have been Blue Harvest,
and that's all I can say.
Really?
Like, really? Because that was perfect. Okay. Like like that would have been fun.
Which is I kind of get because so far it's all I know in Japanese. It's basically, can you speak any English?
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Do you want to demonstrate?
Eigo ga hanasemasu ka?
Okay.
Can you speak English? If you speak Japanese, be kind, guys.
kind.
I'm learning.
Hey, your Japanese is better than my French.
Thank you. All right. This one legit got me. How do the good guys, I forget their names, the Rylons, know that the Princey guy is alive at the end of the movie?
The same way that Zur knows that Alex is a starfighter.
Okay. Just cuz. The same reason synthoids can't fight.
Bacteria microbes.
because they should all believe he's dead. They crashed into the moon.
The microbes have telekinesis, and it tells you.
Though, I mean, clearly we all heard it. The order was given to die.
To die. Yep.
What do we do now? We die. Okay. Because they know that the sequel is going to be him.
Right.
And the last big question I have, if the assassin has that gun, why does he keep climbing rooftops and just trying to strangle Alex from the top? That was another part to me that felt like that pulp-like monster from the Black Lagoon. Like
every Zandozan tries to get on top of something and like shoot down or strangle.
Their whole job, their whole basically being is just to kill this creature.
Well, I mean, here's a follow-up. I don't have an answer for that. It's amazing. It's kind of a rant because the Zandozans can also like do the T-1000 thing where they can shapeshift into anyone they touch.
Yep.
Why do they immediately drop that disguise, become a Zandozan, and climb up into the rafters of something? Yeah. What the shit? And it really is just like because it's the thing. Like, don't look up. Don't look up. There's like a bug above you on the ceiling.
It is the first time Alex. Okay, so the first time he shocks Alex, rightfully so. Then he goes hide behind something else, and he feels a little safe. And I'm like, "Fucker, look up!
Look up.
He's gonna be up there." And then he does, and it's like, "Oh yes, of course." I would have loved it if there was like if this was made today.
And they only show them from like that, like the neck up. And I guess like my thought is that the bottom of that prosthetic must have been so bad and impossible to hide that they had to like just put his head sticking over things because that's all they could show.
I would have loved if there was just like a scene where like the guys who sent the assassins were like, all right, the first one failed. We need to send a second one. And they're like, oh, fuck. Did he try to attack from above again? Like that guy has one move. That's it.
Well, they're all different guys.
And they all do that.
And they all do it.
And I wrote down in my notes because Centauri shoots that guy and like shoots off his arm and whatever. That's cool.
Because that happens in Star Wars.
Because that happens in Star Wars. You lose an arm. And then, the guy uses his severed arm to start firing again. And he wings. What? He catches Centauri.
Kills Centauri.
And then it's like Centauri turns his gun to like flamethrower because then it's like shoots him and it ignites completely.
Shake and bake, man. Shake and bake.
Oh, it was fun though.
Oh, he's a crispy critter.
It was fun.
It's like what happens to Foghorn Leghorn in the original Space Jam.
Did you order original or
extra crispy? And then just disintegrates.
Yeah.
Oh,
good times.
Last Starfighter.
Listen. Did I give it a low score? Yes. Did it not resonate with me? Absolutely. Is it fun talking about it with you? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I do the podcast.
It was. I knew we were going to have fun talking about it.
Do I think I'll ever watch it again? Like I would watch like those like clips that we were seeing of like remastered more than remastering. Like, Like
the re-engineering. Yeah. The recreated.
Absolutely, I would watch that stuff.
Would
I watch this one again from start to end? I don't think so.
I don't feel like I ever need to watch it again.
Yeah.
Like watching this as an adult, like, nearly broke
Yeah.
my love of this movie.
If I were to meet someone on the street, if we ever go back to meeting people on the streets again,
right.
and they were to say to me, "Oh, I've seen Last Starfighter. Let's talk about it." I'm like, "Great, I had that shared experience with you. Let's talk about it."
Right.
If I were to meet someone my age and they say, "I've never seen Last Starfighter," I would say to them, "Don't see Last Starfighter.
Yeah, skip it.
You're past the age in which it would
watch it with your kid.
Yeah, what? Yeah, show it to your kid.
Show it to your kid. This is a good access to like sci-fi.
Yeah, for the sci-fi aspects.
No, it really. I mean, it feels like a live action cartoon to me.
Yeah,
and I guess my big question is John Butel a fan of like 1970s Japanese sci-fi?
Hope so.
This movie feels like Battleship Yamato or like the early Gundam stuff. And I'm not sure where the early Gundam stuff came out. But like, have you ever seen Battleship Yamato? That's a whole series. Like,
yeah, it's a whole series. Yeah. And I think I saw Yamato. They did a movie.
They've done a bunch of them
recently. And I thought, but maybe I haven't seen it. Maybe I just know the movie came out. I can't remember. Maybe we should do it. Put it on the list. Let's put it on the list.
Put it on the list. So this movie, is this movie inspired more by like Japanese sci-fi anime? Because that's what it feels like to me.
I think this movie is so important because it led to so many other things.
I agree. This movie led to so many other things.
But I couldn't score it based on the other things it led to. I had to just score it for the movie.
It's like early automobiles, like really early ones. They're kind of ugly. They're barely functional.
They
blow your mind when you see them. They can kill you. Like, but if we didn't have them,
where would we be?
Where would we be? Where would we be? Like, if not for the 1990s mid-side Ford Ranger, where would pickup trucks be today?
I'll tell you.
I don't know.
Not a good place.
Not a good place. If not for the or if not for the 1998 hybrid electrics.
Yeah.
Where would the car industry be today?
If not for the early 1940s, 50s reels of basketball footage, where would Space Jam be?
Where would Space Jam be?
Yep.
100%. So yeah, it's an important movie.
It's important. I agree. It's important.
It has not aged well.
Hasn't aged great, but listen, we had fun. I had fun.
I had more fun talking.
How long is this episode so far?
An hour and a half.
Okay, it's just as long as the movie, and I've had more fun in this hour and a half than I did in the hour and a half watching it. So
I think it's a great place.
So it washes out. Like I broke even. That's great.
The slate is clean.
Yes, perfect. Cool. I guess that brings us to
Shades and Sketch
recommendations. You want to start?
Sure. I am going to recommend. I don't know when it came out. I know when I watched it. 1998. So maybe it came out in 95 or 97. The iteration of the Gundam franchise, Gundam Wing. The 1998 anime series Gundam Wing. I think it's like 50 episodes. It takes place in the Gundam universe post-war, where there are it focuses on the colonies. And it's a whole iteration, new characters, and it is my seminal introduction to like the mech, the mech warrior kind of thing.
Yeah.
And of course I had seen other like mech warrior stuff, the mech warrior video game. There were some cartoons and stuff. But this was my first like space mecha warrior genre anime that feels very seminal to me in a similar way that Last Starfighter is, in a way that convinced American media that mechanized shows, movies, concepts were marketable in the United States. So I don't think Gundam Wing is a very popular anime in Japan or in the Gundam line, but it is the most widely known and most popular certainly in Western media.
Okay. We were talking about this a little bit before, Mike, in those rare instances where we talk.
Yes.
Off mic. And I've never seen a Gundam.
Little known fact, Sketch and I can't stand each other.
Can't stand this rind grinder over here.
Don't talk off mic at all.
I'm going to start calling people rind grinders.
Hey.
They're going to be like, what?
Rind grinder.
It's you zesty, baby. I've never seen a
Fuck
single
me.
Gundam, which is crazy to me because I love Zoids, and Zoids is like a knockoff of Gundam just with animals, and I goddamn love Zoids.
You do.
I love Zoids so much. I really need to watch a Gundam, so maybe this will be the Gundam that I watch.
I really love Gundam Wing. I think.
Although I can't like Gundam too much because it's going to open up a wide area of collectibles for me to get.
I mean, I really don't think it is because Gundam Wing is self-contained.
Yeah.
It's
I just
not,
mean
it's
when
not
I go to buy a
directly-
Zoid,
all
the Gundams that are there, I can easily look past them right now, looking for the Liger or
Oh
the
yeah,
or the Berserk
Yeah,
Fury or
will.
whatever. But now I'll be like, oh my god,
I love a good Gundam.
humanoid Gundam number 4. I don't know.
Takes place entirely in space.
Okay.
In the colonies, and or actually no, not entirely in space. They do go to some planets, but it's not Earth. It's not Earth. It's post the story. The story is left Earth. Takes place entirely in like on a space station and the colonies, and it's like a war between the colonies and the whatever the opposing forces.
Very good.
And it feels very Zoids.
Yeah.
It feels very similar to Chaotic Century to me. I haven't seen it in a long time. I would love to give it a rewatch. I have not found it streaming anywhere. Longtime listeners, if you know where to get your hands on Gundam Wing legally, of course.
Of course.
I would love to give it a rewatch. But there it is, Gundam Wing. Check it out.
Love it.
And it has particularly what I love about it is it's an early example of very well dubbed anime.
Yeah.
And
for
some
you
of
guys
our
who have recently got into anime, you don't know how good you have it
you are
with
living
dubs
in
right
the
now.
golden age of
Dubs. Yeah.
Like anime dubs used to be
A little
terrible.
rougher. A little rough around the edges.
The people who like worked in the office of the company that imported it used to like
It's like, shit, does anyone know Japanese?
yeah, like Speed Racer level dubbing. Not
right.
good.
There you go.
Cool. Gundam Wing.
That's not the rec. Gundam Wing.
Gundam Wing. Sketch, what's your recommendation?
Okay, my recommendation is going to be way out there for me. I'm gonna recommend it.
Wait on the Frontier.
An album.
Oh,
Okay, music
Wow.
album, but it's not going to be that surprising coming from me because Bare Naked Ladies came out with a new album.
Whoa!
And I kind of, I feel shame in that, like I missed it because I kind of did a big social media purge over the pandemic.
Okay.
It feels good, but
Yeah.
but I also missed the news that the album dropped. So the album came out a couple weeks ago, as of recording,
Yeah.
mid July, and it's called Detour deforce. It comes at their 30-year anniversary of being a
That
band.
seems impossible.
I know. And it is flipping fantastic. I listened to it multiple times on my way up here to the GoCo. This time I've been listening to it basically nonstop. Every single song in it, goes from varying degrees of I like this song a lot too. I fucking love this song.
Wow.
There's not a single song on the album that that doesn't resonate with me.
And they're
I
like
really
in a
have to
whole
love it.
different phase of their career now, right?
Yes, but this album I really feel
Harkens back to the
really
earlier
harkens
years.
back to some of the earlier years. There's much more rock influence
Yeah,
than folk
they're-
influence.
2010, Stephen Page left the band.
A little later than that.
A little
but
later
yeah.
than that. Okay.
Yeah.
That was I went to that tour with you.
Yeah.
That was the album. They got really folky after that.
So in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, you guys, after Stephen Page left the band, I'm wearing a Stephen Page
You
shirt
are.
right
I saw that.
now.
Do you lean more Stephen Page?
No, I love them all.
You love them all.
They're
Okay.
all my
Gotcha,
special
gotcha,
ladies.
Gotcha.
After Stephen Page left the band, I think the album that came out directly after Stephen Page left the band was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they were like, listen, we got to show our fans that
We can still do
we're
this.
still doing this. This isn't going to kill us.
Yeah.
And it was, they started doing some things like Jim and Kevin started singing on more. I flipping love Jim songs. They're great. I'm not as into Kevin songs. They're not my style. They're a little more folky. They're a little bit more out there. And then the album that came after that leaned more heavily into Kevin. Yeah. So I was like, ooh.
That one I remember not liking at all.
Yeah, it was probably my least
for me.
favorite of albums. But this album feels much more back to that more alternative rock kind of feel. And
This
even
is me in grade 9.
This one, kind of like that kind of feel. And also a lot of songs that are appropriate to like the times that we're living in and stuff like that. And
Sunshine and Rainbows.
And Kevin still has multiple songs on this album, and I really like each and every Kevin song on this album too. So,
he's writing more as a part of the band now.
yeah, it really feels more integrated.
Gotcha.
So I can't say enough good things about Detour de Force. I'm not the best at talking about music because I don't experience music the way like a true music aficionado experiences music, but I friggin' love it. And I'll just leave this recommendation with a quote from my brother, because my brother also really likes the band, and he's really blown away by this. And he says that this album, what really blew him away was the way they craft a soundscape. If that means something to you, go with it.
Yeah.
I find it to be very rich, like very rich music. Like I'm fully immersed in it when I'm listening to it. So Detour de Force by Bare Naked Ladies, their 30-year anniversary album. All brand new music.
Yeah.
It's not
it's
not like a compilation album.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
An album that has like when you craft like the whole album has a sound that carries through it.
Yeah.
So like I think a lot of musicians now just they basically write a bunch
songs and
they craft a song and decide to package them as
this feels like an album.
Yeah. Most people aren't making albums anymore because like that part of the music industry is dead. You can't go to a store and buy a CD anymore.
My favorite song on the album, it's a Flip Up. It's funny because one of the songs is named Flip, which is a very good song. But I think New Disaster, I really like.
Do you know if it was released on vinyl?
It was released on vinyl because I know my brother is going to be purchasing it on vinyl.
That's why. So like a lot of like the vinyl record has really come back.
Yes, it has.
Guys, I'm going to recommend vinyl.
Yeah.
Vinyl's amazing. Sounds better than the digital music you're listening to because there is basically no digitized compression. So it's not shaving any information off the edges when you listen to an MP3. You're missing a lot of the tonal range because of the compression of the song, or the compression of the file type. So like vinyl and CD have they have similar compression rates, but vinyl is obviously analog. So like the vinyl record has affects the way you write a song, because if you intend to write on vinyl, you have to time out your songs in such a way that they will fit on a side or a certain number of vinyl discs. And then you also have to think about someone's going to drop the needle and has to play all the way through. Yeah. So it does influence the way you write. And that was really lost, particularly from as CD waned and digital became the file format. And I want to say thank you, Gen Z, because Gen Z is really the generation that's we don't give a shit about mass production.
Yeah.
We want experiences.
When does Gen Z start?
I think your brother is Gen Z.
Well, we're not Gen Z.
No, we're not. Okay. We're either, depending on when you're born.
I don't know any of
you and I are technically, there's a middle gen. We're not millennials. There's
are we boomers?
We're not boomers.
I'm out of generation names.
People will lump us in with millennials, but we're really not. There's this weird micro generation from 77 to 85.
Oh, we're in that.
We are. Sometimes called Oregonians. Oregon Trail. Yeah. So you grew up in a world with digital technology, but pre-internet, and you were taught how to manipulate the analog world that no longer exists.
Yeah.
So we had computer games, but we didn't have the internet. It came much later in our development. Millennials are technically people who grew up with their digital natives. We were not digital natives.
I think they should call us rind grinders.
Sure.
If your
trademark copyright shades 2021.
If you're gonna,
I will take those royalty checks.
Toss out a second recommendation, I'm also going to toss out a second recommendation. I'm going to toss out Detour de Force on vinyl.
Yeah.
Because apparently there's a 15th song that isn't released otherwise, and I don't have a record player. But so once my brother gets
they are inexpensive.
I will get it. Yeah, it's more about just having another thing in my house.
And you can get a portable one for $20 that is self-contained and has speakers. It's worth it.
Put it away.
You can put it. You can just box it up and put it away.
That sounds good.
You can get them in. You can get them
harder to listen to in cars, though.
You can't listen to them in cars.
That's where I listen to almost all
They
my music.
make turntables that will take, as you're spinning the disc, it will turn it into an MP3, so you can take it with you.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't listened to it yet, but I have complete faith in my lady, so I'm gonna recommend Tour de Force.
Fantastic.
On vinyl, and I'll check in with you guys after I
Fantastic. And I'm vinyl.
There you go.
Vinyl. If you have never If you have never experienced vinyl, new vinyl's great, but used vinyl is also great.
I experience vinyl all the time because, again, my brother. Whenever we're over there, he's playing some vinyl.
Vinyl records.
That's the soundtrack of our game nights at his
33 and a third.
33 and a third.
33s.
Possibly my favorite Naked Gun, also.
33 and a third.
Yeah.
Yep.
Possibly. That's a good one.
It is.
Love me some Leslie Nielsen. Well, guys.
That sketch, you going to take anything from the Last Starfighter?
Yes, there is something from Last Starfighter I really want.
What?
A beta unit. Because that is wicked useful.
It is, yeah.
Could you imagine?
I can.
While I go to work, it could stay home playing my video games for me.
Or you could. Wow, sketch. That says a lot about you.
Yeah.
You could send the beta to work.
They're not allowed to go to work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Won't tell me why, but
you might want to re-examine that one, sketch.
Are you sure, beta sketch? Is this a real rule? Oh, it's a real rule.
It's real. Yeah.
It's a real
100% real.
Can I see where? You can't see.
A more plausible answer to that was like, oh, we can't fight. Like the betas know it's super dangerous and they're gonna die.
I think I'm more plausible. I would have loved
like, oh, we can't fight.
I would have loved it if like Alex was up with Grig.
Yeah,
and it was like, I think it's fucking bullshit that synthoids can't fight.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Who told you that? I'm a synthoid.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. Fuck. Alex, I love you, Alex.
Yeah, that was the answer.
Yep.
Of course synthoids can fight.
They're all synthoids,
and it's just Alex.
This one
beta that's like,
and
fuck
Centauri
you, man.
brought the wrong one back up to space when he brought the
It was the last
Alex.
synthoid because they like all the starfighters had already been spoken for.
Oh my! Oh, maybe the Alex we've been following in space is a synthoid. Doesn't know he's a synthoid.
Oh shit!
Oh my god, guys, we might need a sequel to this episode.
Oh my god. I am gonna take. Thanks for asking, sketch. I'm gonna take Gunstar.
Of course.
Can I have space in the hangar?
Yeah. That
Thank
won't
you.
fit in the garage. You'll need the hangar. I think I have something in the garage anyway.
You do.
So we share.
Awesome.
We share.
I'm doing a Gunstar.
Yeah. The gun porcupine, as I like to call it.
The gun. I love it.
The old Rhine grinder.
Death Blossom.
Yeah. The wife void.
The Rhine grinder.
Yep. Gotta get home to the old Rhine grinder.
Oh man.
Why is she a Rhine? She loves citrus. She just loves. She's always on the Rhine grinder.
Oh my god.
Guys, thanks for joining us. We had a fun time with this.
We had such a fun time. Sketch, thank you for potting with me. Thank you for saying yes to Last Starfighter.
I'm happy I said, because of this conversation. I'm happy to have these kind of conversations. Guys, please be kind on your keyboard warrior that you're going to come after me. Because
I'd love to know what you think of the Last Starfighter.
How old am I now? Mid-30s? Mid to late 30s? That's a late time to see Last Starfighter.
It's you missed your window.
I missed my window, but I did it.
You did.
For the pod.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning in, longtime listeners. It's great to be back with you. And
we'll see you next time.
Bangarang.
If you'd like to take a more active role in supporting Geeking Out, visit us at
our website, shows.acast.com/geekingout.
You can email the show at gowithshadesandsketch@gmail.com or contact us through Facebook or Twitter.
Geeking Out is a production of Tree Cave Creative, LLC. All rights reserved, 2021.